Right, I'm Lenny Webb from Swansea Sea Cadets, TS AJax, and we're near the Mountains of Mourne in Northern Ireland, near Newcastle, and it's been a pretty good week, you know. We flew over on the Sunday, and it was a decent flight, bit of turbulence, but well, you can't really help that, can you? As soon as we landed from the airport, we have a tour of Belfast with a local, and he shows all the things, some of the troubles, all the murals, all the peace walls, all the sort of RUC depots and stations, and well, apparently things are not as bad as they used to be. So the Sinn Féin head offices, some other stuff in Belfast was pretty good, and then we went and had a sausage sandwich, which was quite nice, you know. So before we actually started the walk, we had an acclimatization day, and we went up Slieve Loch Shanna, which wasn't a massive mountain, wasn't too challenging, but it was good. It gave us a real sort of feel for the terrain there. It wasn't all grass and paths. There's quite a bit of scree and crag, and yeah, and so it sort of helped us to realise basically that we needed to get rid of stuff because we packed quite a bit too much. So that's what we did, and I made the rest of the week a lot easier. Yeah. The first day was quite nice actually. It was decent. We got up the mountain. What was it?
Hares Gap.
Went up the Hares Gap. We followed the Mourne Wall up a mountain, and had lunch on top of the mountain. It's quite nice. I think I had Thai green curry or something. It was a good lunch. Walked down, and there's a lot of really steep, craggy bits where you really had to watch your footing, because I mean, broken ankles aren't great. Yeah, from there we followed the trail towards Loch Shanna, which is pretty much a lake. We got there, it was alright, but within about 5-10 minutes, just midges everywhere, just covering everything. So we had to hide in this little hut by a lake. And it wasn't a particularly nice hut. It was quite gross, to be honest. But so it's better than midges. Yeah, and well, we were planning on going for a swim in the loch, but as I said, there were midges everywhere, and I think we sort of came to a decision that it's probably a bad idea. And yeah, that was day one.
My name's Ty Long. So day two was a pretty hectic day. Got up, it was raining a bit, so it wasn't the best weather. I was packing our tents away, eating our ration pack food, decent. Obviously breakfast is always our main meal for our day, to get our energies and our body up. Packing our tents away was probably one of the worst things we could do for that whole week. Just getting our packing tent away, putting all the bags back in, worst thing in the world. Starting to walk, obviously getting our mat works together, starting to walk. The footing on the path was terrible. It was all uneven ground. Wasn't the best ground to be able to walk on. Fell a couple of times, but every time you stop, you kind of get swarmed by midges. which is kind of the worst part about it. Going down the steep side of the hill, what was the mountain called?
Binion.
Can't remember.
Sleep Binion.
Yeah, it was Sleep Binion, wasn't it?
No, we went up to that in the afternoon.
Going down one of the mountains, obviously is very, very unsteady footing and rocks everywhere, so you kind of fall off the side and probably end up in a river somewhere. Really hard. Keep getting attacked by midgets all the time. About to get halfway through day 2, about 12 o'clock, we got to the Loch Shannon, the big lake.
No, Silent Valley.
Yeah, Silent Valley. We got in Silent Valley and it's just like a 2-3 mile walk along the road to where we needed to go. So we're just kind of walking up there all together, all in pace. Obviously stopping every like 50 minutes to catch a breath, have a bit of drink. So we met up with our assessor about where the hole, and she told us about this canoeist who had like special permission to go kayak or canoe through the hole they made in like years ago. We were better there, and there's like some crazy sheep just running past us. I feel like they're going to ram us all. So she walked us back from there, back to where obviously officers and all that were. And it was we had some aerial shots from one of the cameramen over there with the drones. So he was doing a few shots up there. It was quite nice. So quite nice weather. It was pretty decent. So walking back up to, was it Sleeve Binion, wasn't it? Walk up next. Yeah, we went up to walked up to Sleeve Binion. Kind of looked up and there was like kind of zero visibility. We thought it was pretty easy to get up there, but we kind of got halfway and kind of contemplated coming back down because all of us were kind of emotionally distressed. But we got halfway up, seen about it a bit further. We all kind of had our arguments about it because we didn't want to go up, but we had to. So we kind of got up there, looking at the top of it. It was nice, zero visibility, which was kind of the worst thing about it. You couldn't see anywhere you go in. You couldn't go too far from the path because you probably will like end up hurting yourself. We kind of sat at the top for a bit, like checking our map work, making sure we were in the right place. Because with zero visibility, you got to make sure your map work is kind of top notch at that point. You don't want to get lost up there, especially if it's freezing cold. So we kind of followed the path all the way back down, met our assessor again, and she took us down the right path. So one of the cliff faces were pretty dangerous, and if you went too far from it, you probably would have fallen. So we kind of got back to our main camp for that night, which was pretty decent. It was in the forestry area, so it was obviously put our tents up quickly and sat down and ate food. Just had a bit of banter between us all, as we always do. Keeps the morale up in the team. Well, we all kind of hit the heads and kind of went to sleep for that night. That was kind of the main thing. But obviously, Northern Ireland in general is quite dangerous over there for where the mountains are. So we kind of trying to make sure everything was perfect, make sure our map work was kind of top notch. Don't want to lose that kind of stuff. Make sure our compasses like still work, because you know the one I give to Lenny kind of busted and he bubbled it. So not happy with that, but yeah, it's decent overall. Pretty good day for day 2.
My name is Emma Burns and I'm going to talk about day 3 of our Gold DV expedition. So we started day 3 when I woke up, because I was the first one to wake again. It was a horrible day, like we couldn't see anything, the rain was coming down and it was just not a nice day to be walking. So, but we had to deal with it. So we got up and I tried to get all the boys up, but someone, again, like on the second day, did not wake up until really later than everyone else, so that was really nice.
What are you talking about? They're all about getting boys up, weren't we?
And so then, once we got packed away, we had to get our waterproofs on because it was just raining and it was horrible and it was just not a nice day. But then we had breakfast, obviously, because it's a very important meal, and then we set off for the day. When we were walking up, we were on this day we were supposed to go up Slieve Donard, but because the weather was so bad, we were told by our assessor that we don't have to walk up Slieve Donard. We had an alternate route because just the visibility was awful and we wouldn't been able to walk up Slieve Donard. So we were all a bit disheartened about that, obviously, because we come to Northern Ireland and we can't even walk up the biggest mountain. So then we were set off on our alternate route and it was a horrible day and the morale was really bad and no one enjoyed my Mamma Mia singing. But I really enjoyed that day and that morning. But then as the day progressed, the weather just got increasingly bad. Like, the visibility was so bad that we just couldn't see anything and the walk was awful and the rain was coming down and it was absolutely terrible. So then when we got to the bog of Donard, we decided to stop there and have lunch because we decided that this was the best place and it was about lunchtime, and we thought if we don't eat something now we're going to be a bit miserable, a bit more cold. So we decided to stop to have lunch, and then two mountaineers have come down from the top of Slieve Donard and told us that the visibility everywhere was absolutely awful, and that advised us to go down and just meet our assessor and plan an alternate route because we just could not walk through the mountains in this weather. So then we rang our assessor and she decided that everything was okay. So then we'd planned, and then we started to go down from the bog of Donard to the car park at the bottom, and we walked down and it was absolutely awful. The normal paths had turned into streams. It was raining that bad that every path was just a stream, and the river was absolutely awful. It was gushing and it was horrible. So then eventually we made our way down to the bottom, and it was just the worst day ever. It was absolutely awful. That weather was just so bad.
Good animals though.
But we did see some Highland cows. And then at the bottom we waited at the car park for our assessor and the officers, and then when they came they took us in the minibus and we went to our campsite for that night, and we stayed there and we set up camp. And it was a bit of a miserable night because obviously we were all disheartened that we had to come off the mountain, but at the end of the day it was for our benefit and for our safety, and it wasn't a good idea for us to go up the mountains at the time. But we had a nice night that night. I had a chocolate brownie, so everything was okay. But day 3 was, I'd say, the worst, because the weather was just not weather that you want to be walking in, basically. It was absolutely horrible.
My name is Tom Hopkins and I'm going to be talking about day 4 of our expedition. Day 4 was a little different than what we'd initially planned because we had to come off the mountains the day previously. So we spent a lot of time the night before planning our route for the next day, sorting out our route cards, all that sort of thing. So day 4 we set off and we walked mainly along roads until we reached a forest, and that day was pretty much just following footpaths throughout. So it's a little bit different navigation to what we did for the rest of the week, because that was based on like contours and land features, whereas this time we were on paths. We walked through the woods pretty much all day. We came across some fairly dodgy people in camouflage clothing on the side of the path watching us, so we decided not to stop for lunch there. So then we kept walking and we reached a little quarry where we spent quite a lot of time taking notes for our project, which is on limestone mining in the Mourne area, which is fun. And then we finished our walk at about 1 o'clock that day, so it was nice to finish relatively early. And then we headed down to the town of Newcastle, where we used the showers at the leisure centre, and we had a nice little KFC to break up our ration pack diet, which was nice.
750 limit.
Yeah, but there's a 750 limit on what we could have, so it's getting bought for us, which we were still happy about because we weren't paying. Then we hung around in Newcastle for a couple more hours, had an ice cream, sat by the beach, and it started to rain, so we quickly huddled ourselves underneath a little porch of some shop. And yeah, that's about it really for day 4. Alright, so our acclimatization day was our day 1. It was the Tuesday after we arrived on the Monday. And for this day, we had a lift up the road a little bit, and then we walked over, do you remember the name? Anyone?
What?
Sleeve Mealbeg, isn't it?
Yeah, Sleeve Mealbeg.
Yeah. We walked over Sleeve Mealbeg and Sleeve Shanna, and these are 2 quite challenging mountains compared to what we've had in Brecon. And this day was quite useful for us to really judge the terrain of the Mournes, because it's not like in Brecon where you can expect big tufts of grass or lots more random rocks just about in Brecon that are just there for no reason. Whereas in the Mournes you got a lot more dense terrain and more steep terrain. And on this day it's pretty much just following the Mourne wall up and over a couple of the mountains. And we decided after that to ditch some of our stuff because we found our bags were quite heavy. And when we got back we realised we didn't need quite a lot of the stuff we'd packed. So stuff like lots of tea and coffee, which we wouldn't really drink. We'd drink tea or coffee, not both. So we saved quite a lot of weight by doing that.
Feel that at the end of the 4 days.
Yeah, you'll feel that at the end of the exped, is what we were told about the smallest of things. And our acclimatization day was also quite helpful for navigation because we expected a lot more open terrain, but we found the hills limited our view quite a lot compared to what we had expected. Yeah, that's about it.